What's going down, man? I got Big Nick in the building for, I think it's episode 69, so that's actually fucking ironic.
That's
let me just be completely honest with you right now. I think you are episode 69. As I was telling you before we cut the mics on fully.
Yeah, you got a story.
Well, I got a couple of things to say. I'm going to wind up taking this this sweatshirt off because that's one of the things that I can't stand about having.
Take it off.
You don't want to see this. It's nothing special. Let's be totally clear with each other. But what I found is working in an office building. I actually said this to my buddy Tyler before. I said what I find very interesting is like they pump the fucking heat in these things right when it switches, right when it turns a specific day.
Leaf.
Oh my God! Half a leaf. Half a leaf hits, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, fuck it, crank the heat. And then you get a couple of 70, 80-degree days, and you're sitting here, you're like, oh my God, it's like a sauna in this office right now. So, yeah, it doesn't feel awesome in here. I'm always hot to begin with. I think it's the iron issue, and I'm going to take this off right now, actually. And I'm wearing gray, so if I'm sweating, none of y'all motherfuckers better judge me.
That's all right. We'll be the Gray Brothers.
Oh, God.
Beautiful.
That's so much better.
Beautiful.
So yeah, it's been a little an adjustment period. Now the last studio I had, we had one of those like split units in the office. So anytime I did a podcast, even though it was in an office building, I literally just cranked the fucking AC. So it would be 64 degrees year round in here, and it felt amazing. I'd have like women come in for the podcast. Mm-hmm. I forget that they're like that much lighter than you, and you're just they're like, can you just make it a little hotter in here? It's like mad cold. I'm like, oh my bad, I totally forgot.
Yeah, when I first walked in, dude, for those who you've never actually showed the completed space just yet.
No, not yet,
This is very overwhelming.
I appreciate it, man.
I love it. It's like overwhelming in a good way. It makes me feel like professional. It makes me feel like, like I'm important.
You are important, and everybody that comes on is important, and I don't...
Nah, I'm the most important.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Second to Jamal, I think I'm...
Yeah, you're up there. And that's why we're doing the episode. That's why you're Big 69. Pause, but not pause, but sort of pause. I've always relayed the information, and I've always relayed the notion of everybody that comes on is super important to me for their own reasons. And I like just getting the stories out. I like chopping it up with everybody, all walks of life. I like CEOs, athletes, just my boys just bullshitting. Like Tyler's coming in tomorrow. We're gonna have a fucking blast tomorrow. We have a little thing planned. It's this Pumpkin Spice Boys weekend type shit.
This is great.
We're gonna have fun, man. And
I love it.
That's what this is all about. And what I wanted to kind of open up and start with, because I started doing notes now, and not that I didn't ever take it seriously prior, but I'm taking it a little bit more seriously in terms of like having some bullet points. What should I be asking and talking about with my guests? Because once again, everybody comes from different walks of life.
So you have notes on me.
I don't have notes specifically on you. I have like talking points that are going to lead to our conversations.
The scouting report, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly, the scouting report. And so as of this morning, got 1,017 subscribers on YouTube.
Woo!
And that's
awesome.
That's amazing to me because... and a lot of it, I don't believe, are people that I actually fully know. I think it's a lot of people that are just discovering the podcast. And now that's whether they're seeing the guests that I have come on. And because the guests are coming on, they then search and find some episodes or talking points that they either align with or want more information on. And then they decide to subscribe. And listen, man, the TikTok thing, when I first started the show, I went to 50K quick. And then it peaks and valleys. Right. Then I was doing my thing, and then I stopped posting a lot on TikTok. And then because I stopped posting, I got lost in the algorithm, and I wasn't in it anymore. So I'm stuck in that, like, every time I post a video, they cap you at, like, 200, 300 views. Yeah, that's their new thing. I don't know what the algorithm changed.
Shadow banning, right?
Exactly. So it's like they keep you at the 200-300 view mark, and it's just kind of like, okay, whatever. So I still post to it, but what's been important to me has been YouTube. So YouTube is really where... you grow.
Yeah, organic growth too.
Yeah, you know what? You just have to post. You have to just get it out the way. You have to post. You have to be consistent with it. And I found some processes that I can mainstream and mainline some of the process of just like putting content out, getting it out there, and then being able to turn these episodes around quick now that I have the office so close to the apartment. It's a beautiful thing. So I say all that to say I appreciate every single person that fucks with me, that fucks with the guests that I have, that asks questions, that engages, that gets excited about episodes. Because when it comes down to it, I'm just a regular ass dude from Long Island. Like, that's really what it is. I'm just a regular ass dude from Long Island that has a fantastic network of humans. And
that's what makes you so easy to have a conversation with, because you're so down to earth.
I appreciate
like that vulnerability that people wouldn't otherwise have in front of a microphone and cameras everywhere. You created that environment. That's all you, and you need to take pride in that. So
I appreciate that. It means a lot.
I appreciate you.
And
look at us, two boys just
appreciating each other. And you did bring me flowers today, so I appreciate you even
damn,
more.
He's outing me.
I am. He brought me roses. I'm going to post them on my story. I was flattered. Men do not get flowers enough, and I have to find a vase now because I do not get flowers enough. And I had no vase.
Listen, it's the truth. Men do not receive flowers until their funeral. I think it's like what's the statistic? Like 99% of men or something like that.
I don't know. We can look it up though.
Something like that.
Let's look it up.
But yeah, I mean, as you should.
Let me see.
You shall receive your roses, figuratively and literally.
I appreciate that. I really do. And when I say I appreciate that, that's actually something that on that subject, that's actually something that I've caught myself saying far more over the last year. Whenever somebody throws kudos my way, or whenever somebody does something for me, or something like that, my first inclination now is to just say, hey, I appreciate you. Because nobody says that. It's like so weird. There's no appreciation for people that either help you out or show you love or subscribe on an episode or 100%. Just, when you put a questionnaire up, they actually interact with it. Like, it doesn't take much, but when somebody does do something like that, you go, wow, like that means a lot. And the gratitude and appreciation, these things really propel not only your own mental psyche, but like civilization as a whole. If everybody was just appreciating the fuck out of each other.
Dude, good company's hard to find. It is. It's hard to find.
Oh, dude. It's so hard to find.
I always say, like, I have a quote where I'm like, your company is your coffin, right? So one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to find the people that you're willing to die for, or the people that are going to drag you down to the grave are going to find you. So it better be one of those two choices, and you better choose the right one.
Yeah.
So
and that takes a lot of navigating life the proper way, learning from your experiences, and not getting tied up on poor decisions that you've made in the past. Because, I mean, how many times do you see other human beings, and I have a ton of people that I know in unfortunate situations that they've built their own issues, and instead of like harnessing their inner dialogue to just go, I fucked up. I made a mistake on XYZ.
Right.
I'm never allowing myself to get to that mistake ever again. I have to be better. I have to do better. Instead of doing that, they just continually make the same mistake. Like, I tell friends with girls too, with women and women with guys. I tell them all the time. Stop making the same mistake. Stop dating the same fucking person that bothers you and annoys you. Stop doing that. You're not realizing patterns. That's what it comes down to.
People don't realize your partner is going to determine a lot about you, dude. A lot about you. Like, whether they respect you, whether they are going to elevate you, whether or not you want to have kids, how they're going to raise your children. Like, that's such an important part, dude.
Facts, dude.
And
looking up the flowers, by the way.
Oh, man.
Oh, shit. Somebody said most men will receive their first bunch of flowers at their funeral. And the first comment on Reddit just says, oh, ouch. I didn't know I wanted someone to give me flowers until this.
See? Told you.
Yep.
Told you.
The original poster said, PM me your address. I'll send you the flowers. You deserve them. Yo, that's awesome, man.
Reddit threads are great, dude.
Reddit can be an interesting place. Toxic.
It's very polarizing.
It's
dude.
Very like...
You're either going to find like the craziest people on the face of the earth or the funniest people on the face of the earth. There's no in between.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, actually, you know what?
There's always in between.
There's a crossover.
There's always in between, but you get some fucking nut jobs on there. It's a site that you could just easily get sucked into, and there just seems to be a subreddit for everything. I mean, any topic, any person, anything. People. They have subreddits on people, and it's just them talking about specific people. It's wild to me.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All right, let me open these notes up.
What do we got?
Yeah, so 1,017 subscribers, and I wanted to thank everybody, and I do appreciate everybody. So I got Big Nick in the building. We wanted to wait for this podcast because we got that doctor title now.
Yeah,
that doctor title is amazing.
We do.
So let me start with this. Yeah, I mean, it probably
weird.
It is weird, right?
It feels weird to say, dude.
Yeah, because how many years did you do school for that?
So I did 4 years of undergrad, and then I'll backtrack a little bit. So when I went to undergrad, I went to Hunter College. Shout out Hunter College, by the way.
Shouts.
And I was told when I had first applied that they had a physical therapy program. And I was like, all right, cool. I'll do, it'll be an easy transition. When I finished my first 2 years of like their Common Core stuff, come to find out that it was a graduate program. It wasn't actually the undergrad program like I thought it was. Like I think LIU or other schools have like a pipeline program where you do your 2 years and then you're automatically in and you apply and so forth. They didn't have that. So I was like, all right, I can either transfer schools or I can finish it out over something that is going to coincide. So I was like, nutrition looks good. So we did that. So I got my bachelor's degree in nutrition. That was 4 years. And then I still had a few more prerequisites and observation hours that I needed to do. So I had another like year or two as like a gap year. And then I sent in my application and then another 3 years on top of that to grad school. So not including like the 2 years of other prerequisites that I needed to do, it's 7 years in total.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Let me backtrack you even further. Have you always had a passion for physical therapy? Was it specifically that, or is it just sports in general that blossomed into you working with athletes? What was the inception point?
Okay. So I'm going to backtrack even further.
Back it up, baby.
So this is a very common story that I'll tell people as to like when they ask me this question. When I was a kid, when I was in middle school, sports were always like my muse. Like I loved playing basketball. I loved playing football with my friends. It was awesome, dude. And around the time, like when I was at a very impressionable age, like I had a rough upbringing. At a certain point, my mom got sick. My father ended up, walking out. Didn't want to be seen with a sick wife.
So she's been a single mom since what age?
For as long as honestly, even when she was with my father, for as long as I can remember. But
my mom's single mom since I was 2, so I can definitely sympathize and relate.
So where I found my outlet for stress in life was basketball, sports, all that stuff. And what ended up happening was I never really cared about school. As somebody who has as much education as I do, I hate school. I think that having an education doesn't necessarily make you a good person or even an educated person, because there's a lot of people that are doctors that are stupid. But I reached a point when I was in middle school, right? And I'll never forget this day, my 7th grade math teacher, I failed a test. I remember this. And I didn't care about it. It was like, whatever. It was a math test. I'm not going to define my life. And what happened was I was just, I got the test grade. I was like, whatever. When are we playing basketball? To one of my buddies. And she made it a point of emphasis to stop the entire class and point a finger at me and say, you know what, Nick? That's why you're never going to amount to anything.
Damn.
Because all you care about are sports. And I sat there. It was a very somber, earth-shattering thing, because you don't expect the people that you should be looking up to or growing you or molding you to break you down like that. And I was like, damn. And I went home crying that day. I was like, oh shit. And I kind of reevaluated my entire life in 7th grade. I'm like, oh shit, should I not be playing sports? This is what's making me happy. I'm going through some shit at home, and this is what's making me I not do that. And it wasn't until I reached the 8th grade where I had a very impactful teacher who, her name, shout out to Mrs. Colleen Olson. And
Shouts.
I'm sending you this podcast. I'm shouting you out. Shout out Mrs. Colleen Olson, who was my sports science teacher. I went to a specialized middle school, and she taught a sports science class, which was really cool. And she related to me, and we used to break chops about she was a Giants fan, I was a Jets fan. We would, obviously that back and forth. And, we would talk about sports and basketball, and through that class and through her mentorship at a very early age, she showed me that there are careers in sports. And that whole earth-shattering experience where I felt guilty, I felt bad about myself, oh damn, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I shouldn't be playing sports. Maybe this is just a waste of time. Completely did a 180 because of someone who actually cared. And I'm a firm believer that life is going to be our best teacher, but you know, a good teacher will impact a student. A bad teacher will impact hundreds of students. But I was lucky that the one that, you know, that was in my corner really, really, really like pushed me in the right direction. And, you know, I remember I didn't get into like a specialized high school. I went to a specialized middle school. I didn't get into a specialized high school. And I was crying in class. And again, Miss Olson, she wiped my tears and told me, you know, you are going to amount to something in this world. You work hard, you have passion in your heart, and you're going to become somebody. And that was something that like I really needed to hear at that time. I really needed to hear that. And, you know, through the support of my mother, my brother, my friends, and, you know, my family, like I reached a point where I was able to strategize and I was able to say, okay, there are careers in sports. You know, you don't necessarily have to be the one who's dribbling a basketball up the court. Like, you don't need to be the one who's getting into a ring. You can do things within the scope that are still impactful and still have a title and still be something of honor within yourself.
And impactful to more than just the people that are on the court. Impactful to teaching and helping others across a wide variety of mediums. Like, it's not just, you know, the things that you learn as a rehab practitioner or somebody that you know works in specialized fields. It may look small on a grand scheme and grand scale of things, but just because there's only 50 people in the area that need that, think about the country, think about the world. There's hundreds of thousands that if you project the right knowledge out with the right attitude, that especially with social media in the positive ways and the positive influences that it brings in the world, that information can just reach millions and impact people and change lives, make people better at their given sport or activity. So what a weird fucking thing for a teacher to say. They're so strange. Some of the teachers, I've had my own interactions with teachers too. Yeah, and I want you to go back to what you were talking about as well. But like, I've had such weird interactions with teachers where they just break you down sometimes, and for no fucking reason. I had a teacher. I'm not very good at math, to be honest with you. But I'm not good at math because I haven't focused on it.
Right.
Like, if I focused on it, I actually gave it the time to like actually, you know, learn it the proper way and make sure that I was putting the time in to study. I just never did. I wasn't interested in it. But from a young age, I think I was in like elementary school, even maybe earlier. I had a teacher that constantly told me, "Yeah, Nick, you're just not good at math. You're not good at math," and it drills it in. And because you're consistently hearing that thing, and because you're being influenced by that external source, you now just fuck it. I guess I'm not good at math. And now you have a lifetime of believing that you're not good at something because one person on the wrong day, when they're supposed to be impacting and leaving a positive thumbprint on children, just said what she should have internalized as opposed to externalizing it.
There was always, I always look back on that and I always say to myself, like, oh damn, like, you know, I'm
strange.
I look back on that and I say to myself, like, you know, what a shitty thing to say to somebody or do. But like, at the same time, it propelled me in the direction that I needed to.
It was a catalyst to bring you to where you are now. It's weird how it works like that.
Dude, it really was. And now you fast forward to where I am today. You know, I'm not putting medals on myself, but I'm proud of myself at the same respect. I'm the first doctor of my family. I worked very hard to get to that point.
You're fucking proud, bro.
You know, I worked very hard to get to that point. Like, and, you know, being a doctor of physical therapy, master trainer, specialist in nutrition and fitness nutrition with a bachelor's in nutrition and a bachelor's in public health, like a bunch of certifications, adaptive fitness certifications, all that stuff. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that. And I had that because someone believed in me. I had that because I had one teacher that believed in me. I had my family believe in me. And I can't say enough, like, how grateful I am for, first and foremost, my mother. I'm truly
Shouts to Mom.
Truly grateful
to Mom
for, you know, who she raised as a son, as a single parent, as sons, both myself and my brother, and just Miss Olson and my brother as well. I'm very grateful. I have a great support system, and that's something that I think that really molded me and pushed me in the right direction, man. I'm getting emotional talking about that. I gotta take a sip. I need to
take a sip of that rain, man. Get caffeinated and emotional on us. That's what happens, man. I mean, listen, it's in some ways when you when we do these, as a Kenji hair is in my middle tooth. That's awesome. In some ways, when you start talking on a podcast in an open forum, and you listen, there's nobody here theoretically, but if you look, you see yourself. I don't see myself, but you see yourself. Got to buy another monitor. There's always something to buy. But you start to reflect on your life and who you are because you want to bring up these talking points and you want to help other people that may be going through similar situations that you have. And so when you start reflecting on them, you start realizing, even more so than you've already understood in your life, that, wow, these people, mom, brother, teacher, they've made a huge impact on my life. And everything that I've done up until this point has gotten me to where I am sitting in front of me.
Yeah, dude.
And me sitting in front of you for my own journey and my own path, to sit here on a Friday afternoon to be able to do a podcast and be transparent and be vulnerable and be real, because that's what it comes down to. You could tell when the people are bullshitting on podcasts. You could tell when they're just doing things and saying things for clips. But when you're actually here and we're just talking open forum, shit happens, man. It's like a therapy session. It really is.
True.
It really is. But that's exactly how I've always wanted it, because this is the type of conversations that are had behind closed doors.
100%.
And that helps nobody.
Yeah.
It helps maybe you to get it out as the person that's, speaking and reflecting about life and whatnot. But it doesn't help other people. And there's a way that we can touch and reach 1 million people. Touch them in the right place. Heart. Touch them in the right place, heart. So, listen, man, I could definitely understand that. So, you said basketball was a big like outlet for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the height. Were you always tall? Like.
Yeah, I was a tall dude. Well, actually, ironically enough, when I reached high school though, I was a very undersized center. Okay. So I was the same height that I am now, like 6'3", 6'4", depending on how we're measuring with the shoes or not.
Bro, I got measured at the doctor a couple weeks ago. She told me I'm 5'6.5". I said, no, there is no way. You need to take that measuring tape back out.
Yeah, no way.
She's like, no, it says it on the wall. I'm like, you can put it down as that, but I'm telling you, like, I'm short. I ain't that short.
No,
I said, I'm at least 5'7", 5'8", at least.
Well, ironically enough, since my herniated, the reason why I say 6'3", 6'4" is because I was 6'4" at one point. And then I measured myself recently after all the herniated discs, and now I'm like 6'3.5". So I say, we'll measure with the shoes on.
Hold on a second.
What's the license say?
What's that driver's license say?
What's that driver's license?
What's that driver's license say, son?
Let's see. That says 5'10". Yeah. Actually, no, it says 6 foot.
It says bullshit. That's what it says.
It says 6 foot.
Yeah, fuck that. Short Kings. Yo, it says 5'10". Yeah, okay, bro. I think that's when I got my permit, and they asked me. They said, "How tall are you?" And I probably just said, "I'm still growing, so 5'10". I'm going to be 5'10". Woo! That was God going, hold your horses, brother.
Dude, I had a patient one time, just not to derail, but I had a patient. He was just like, "Oh, how tall are you?" And I'm like, "I'm about 6'3", 6'4". He's like, "Oh, you're at best 6 foot, buddy." So he comes and stands next to me. He was an older gentleman, and then he stands next to me. He's looking up, and he's like, "Oh, you know what? You might actually be 6'4".
Should have dunked on him.
I'm like,
let's go outside. I got a basketball hoop around the corner. Let's go.
But yeah, I was a very undersized center in high school. Very undersized. I was the same height that I am now, going up against dudes that were like 6'7", 6'6", and I was like maybe $170.
Okay.
For context, I think that I'm still pretty skinny now, and I'm 260. So yeah. I was 90 pounds lighter, and yeah, it was fun. So ironically enough, when I was in high school, I broke my school's record in charges taken because I was undersized, dude. I had to average 3 charges a game. It's a lot of wear and tear on the body.
Yeah.
18 games.
So that's when you're just standing there and you take the charge in, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was listen. I was always a tough motherfucker.
Yeah, bro. Listen.
I mean, listen.
I know you're doing your jiu-jitsu now. You're like ready for the combat. We're going to talk about that too.
We're going to talk about combat sports because, to be honest with you, after now having done combat sports for, say, the last 3-4 years, I wish I never played basketball.
Yeah.
I wish I never wasted my time with basketball. I wish I started way earlier. Way earlier.
It's crazy how all these different sports that are offered to us when we're younger, you move in and out of phases of things that you like, things that you are super passionate about that you lose passion for. And like Tyler and I are going to talk about that tomorrow because we were both heavy bodybuilding. I mean, we loved going to the gym, banging out an exercise like a sets for chest or back, shoulders, whatever it may be. That's what we wanted to do, and we love that. But pivoting to now, We like our HIIT classes. I love jujitsu. And the thought of going to a conventional gym, like I've been a Bev's gym member since 2010, 2011. I've been a Bev's guy. And I think, and it's nothing against Steve or the gym itself, but I think that this year when my membership is up, I have no need to go back. I'm not passionate about it anymore. The bodybuilding field, the bodybuilding industry just doesn't do it for me anymore. And I'm almost switching that mindset of athleticism and just being functional. And it's not that I always poo-pooed it and just like whatever, but it makes more and more sense, especially as I'm getting older. And I'm learning these things, like with the combat sports, with the jiu-jitsu, how to hold myself accountable, how to wrestle another grown-ass human being, but still be accountable to not hurting them not hurting me, and then being able to translate that to, God forbid I ever have to use it outside of a gym where mats are. Like, it builds the confidence up.
It's a different world, dude.
Well, it builds the confidence up. And then you know, I've explained this to a few people before. That first time when somebody puts their arm around your neck for a rear naked choke.
It's humbling.
It's very wild. Like you almost have like a baby panic attack. You just go, oh, whoa, what's going on? Even though you know, like this is what I signed up for. Like you know that you're gonna have people attacking your neck at all points and all times. There were a couple times I rolled this morning. There were a couple times I was rolling with this dude Eric, badass motherfucker. He's super dope. I think he's got 4 stripes on his white belt, 4 or 3. He used to grapple with Beethoven.
Nice.
And
shout out Beethoven.
Shout out to Beethoven.
Shout out Tommy.
Beethoven wanted to know why your shorts are so long but so short at the same time.
Me?
Yeah, you, not me.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Dude.
Yeah, that's right. Calling you out.
All right.
Hey, he's calling you out on the short length.
Listen.
It could be pretty up there. You're a big guy, man.
Listen, I love my short shorts.
Like those shorts down, son.
Dude, I love my short shorts.
What did he say? Yeah, when you get Nick on the pod, make sure you comment about how he wears his shirts so baggy, the sleeves go past his elbows, yet he wears his shorts so small they're 4 inches above his knee.
Listen.
He just hasn't found the athletic big and tall store yet.
Listen, I'm going to say this, okay? I do like my short shorts. I need to like defend myself now. All right. I like my short shorts.
You better relax.
I like my baggy clothes.
You better relax when you're working on people, man. You may have a friend pop out and say, "What's up, man?" Better keep that short length a little longer when you're out here throwing elbows into people.
Dude, I wear the compression underneath. It's okay.
Oh, perfect.
It's okay.
Yeah.
We're good.
Keeps the boys compressed and tight.
The upper body is on my Billie Eilish, and my lower body is on my Daisy Dukes. It's okay. Listen, that's okay. I got big legs. I like showing them off, man.
I'm gonna make a fucking calendar, a holiday calendar of this guy wearing all different types of shorts. It's gonna be awesome.
They're not that bad. Are they that bad?
No, they're not that bad. You're wearing pants today, so I couldn't even rag on you. I saw when you walked up and went, fuck, I can't even comment about the shorts.
Dude, I was going to.
Yeah.
I was going to wear shorts.
You should have.
I really was.
Yeah. Why do you think I made Kenji go home? I didn't want him catching whiffs down the... I'm bullshit. So yeah, you almost get that weird, thing. So like, so Eric today, it was the last round of grappling. We were going back and forth. Matt teaches the morning class, so it's awesome when Matt gets to teach. Sarah. So you just sit there and you're just like, oh my God, I just need to absorb everything because he speaks so quickly, and it's just how he is. Right. So he speaks so quickly, but he still articulates and shows you exactly what you need to do or should be doing.
He's a different breed.
He also makes himself feel like he's 9,000 pounds when he jumps on top of you. It's like crazy. So anyway, he's sitting there and Eric and I are grappling. We're going back. I get him in a little something. It's not tight enough. He gets out. He gets me in a little something. I wait it out a little bit, wait for him to gas out from holding me, and then I slide out. So we're going back, forth. And you hear Matt like, all right, Rizzles, go. You got to get the legs under. You got to get the... So I pull guard again. He goes, yes, let's go. He's like getting all excited on the sidelines, and we're just going for 6 minutes, going back and forth. So then afterwards, he told me, he's like, yo, do you have a wrestling background? Matt asked me. I said, no, I don't. No, I don't have a wrestling background. So he's like, okay, cool. Like he was... For him to like ask that means that I'm learning from Beethoven and these other guys, because I mean, Beethoven will attest that first wrestling class I took, it was rough. It was a rough class for Nick. Didn't really make any sense. I was like, wait, so I want to do what when I shoot in? Like nothing really was sticking with me. Right. So now as I'm progressing, I'm feeling better. It's weird how it works. You go in there knowing nothing. You then continue to know nothing as they teach you things. Mm-hmm. You're just fighting to survive every time. You're just getting your ass kicked left and right, getting choked out. You fucking your windpipe is crushed half the time. And then all of a sudden, it's like, a move that you learned 3 months ago, 2 months ago, it comes up and you oh, the arm's right there. I could fucking grab that move. And you sort of remember it. So you kind of do it. And then you're just like, oh, okay, got it. And then you feel like you don't know shit again. And it's like a cyclical wave of just knowing things maybe. And then, fuck, I don't know anything.
But isn't that a beautiful thing, like having people in your corner that are cheering you on, and like that's what like the martial arts community, like people think that we go in there and we hate each other, like we're fighting when you're sparring. Like, do you like not like your sparring partners and stuff like that? Like, no, dude, I love all the guys that I train with and I train amongst, and like everybody is each other's champion, and that's the beautiful part about it. When you play other sports, even team sports, you know, you talked about having to protect your neck. You have to protect your neck in basketball, soccer, football, because everybody's fighting for minutes. Everybody's fighting for their life to be able to get playing time. Everybody wants to get scouted. Everybody wants college looks, you know? And the irony of all of that is you go to a sport where people should be hitting each other in the most, you know, violent and competitive, but at the same time, like Mike Tyson says, right, it's the loneliest sport in the world because the only person you could blame is yourself. The only person you could keep accountability towards is yourself. And having those people in your corner, like, it's a completely different world. I love it, dude. I have a question for you, though. When was the first time when you, like, walked into Sarah's and you said to yourself, oh, dude, I fucked up. This is intense. Like, this is the real deal.
You know what? I felt that way a few times, but it's mostly when I've been injured, when I've gotten an injury. Because I knew what I signed up for. Mm-hmm. I knew I signed up with the potential of being injured. Because let's be very clear, it's a very inclusive sport where anybody can do it. Really, anybody can do it. Anybody can learn it. Men, women, children, everybody. But because people come from different backgrounds, I've always found that sometimes the lower belts, they don't, even though they say that they're a white belt, they might be a wrestler from D1 schools or whatever, and then all of a sudden you're grappling a D1 wrestler, and he's actually a blue belt, and he's doing leg locks on you, or he's doing this, and you're like, what the fuck's going on? Like, I don't even know how to attack a leg. So I would say like I think the time where I felt my knee popped that time, where I came to see you, I thought my knee popped. I got very nervous about that because, listen, man, when it comes down to it, like the podcast is amazing. It's not netting me money yet. Like I say that almost every episode, and sorry if I sound like a broken record, but it's not netting me any money currently. I know it will, but until then, my video production and my shoots, that's what puts food on the table for me. That's what pays for this. That's what gives Kenji his medicine every single month and all of the stuff that he needs. Right. So it's like without that and without being able to do that, I won't make money. So when I think of like popping a knee or tearing an ACL or stuff like that, which is very common in combat sports, that makes me nervous because it's like, well, now I have downtime. Now I have rehab. Now I have XYZ. Now I'm out of the gym as a whole, and I can't train and I can't stay lean and have my outlet of physical activity to recenter and feel good about myself. So like when I pop my knee, or I'm telling you, it was just like the bone just moving the wrong way probably. But when I popped my knee, that was like almost like it was like one of those days where I shouldn't have came that night. It was like I didn't feel like training, and here I am, and I had a quick boost of like, I'm gonna get this motherfucker. I got him. Like you do take the ego out of it, and I know a lot of guys that practice this sport and fighting and whatnot, sparring. You do have to take that ego out of it, and we all 100%. Do. But as men, every now and then, you get that testosterone boost from, it doesn't matter who you're grappling, but you go, I'm not letting this motherfucker get me. Like, it's almost like proving to yourself, like, you look this person up and down, and it's not that you look at them as inferior in any particular way, but you look at them up and down, and you're just like, there's no way I'm letting him flip me over. There's no way I'm letting him flip me over. And then you get flipped over, and you're like, he's not doing it again. Like, there's no way. And then you fight a little harder. But because you're fighting a little harder, you make it a little sloppy. Right. As a lower belt, I found this is kind of what happens. So it was like one of those days where I just felt like, fuck, man, I shouldn't have come. And then my knee pops. And then I'm freaking out. I'm calling you. I call Scott. I said, you know what? I got the people. So let me just call them. Let me just evaluate and then figure out what I have to do early on. And it was just rest, ice it, chill, get work done by you guys. And that was it, which I'm thankful for. But that's probably the thing that weighs on me the most is the potential of injuries because, listen, it's ever present. I got taken down the wrong way last week. My foot landed flush to the mat, and my knee was bent. Foot landed flush to the mat, my knee was bent, my foot went pop, and like hit the mat the wrong way. Ever since, straightening out my leg all the way, it's a little sore on the left back right side. It happens, man.
It happens,
You get a
dude.
stinger.
Oh yeah.
You know, I was getting, I got popped in the mouth a few times with dudes just white belts just being wild with their legs. You know,
People not cutting their nails. Remember the picture I sent you?
Yeah,
Me getting
dude.
cut across
Yeah.
the face.
Yeah, my shit's getting a little. My shit. I got manicure last week, dude. My shit's growing like fucking weeds in a yard. I gotta chill with that shit, and you gotta keep that hygiene. You gotta dudes be just not washing their geese properly. I almost want to give out for Halloween. If there's a smelly dude, I want to give him Clorox, OxyClean. I want to give him like OxyClean tablets. Like, here you go, bro.
Funny. I haven't run into that yet, thankfully.
Oof. And then
have
they're
not.
on top of you, and that belt's hitting you in the face, and they don't wash their belt. You're like, oh, okay.
Dude, that's one thing I can't. I'll tell somebody no.
Oh, I'll tell somebody. No. I'll tell somebody as well. Like it hasn't happened as of recently. It happened when I first started. A couple dudes that I was rolled with. I went, oh my god, what is that smell on your gi, bro? And then there's another dude that does no gi that I thought of Elf when we were rolling together. He was all over. I mean, super strong, all over me. Couldn't get up. I couldn't get past him. It was a horrible day for Nick. This Nick, not you. And then I remember he was like, his fucking chest was right in my face. He was like waterboarding me with his sweat. And I smelled it, and it didn't smell bad, but it smelled like beef and cheese.
Oh God.
So I thought of the Elf, and I went, you're not real Santa. Santa doesn't smell like beef. You smell like beef and cheese. Santa doesn't smell like that. I was like, I got to have fun with it, man. And my mom goes, you like this sport? I go, yes, very much so.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I remember, dude, listen.
Yeah, what's your experience? I need to know what your first experience was.
I've been boxing for like 3-4 years, right? Trained at a few different gyms. It was fine. Learned a lot. Amazing. First time I ever sparred at Law, right? I go up against, I don't know if you know him, Czech. Dude. He caught me with a stinger. Cracked me. And I had headgear on too, I think. And he just whipped my neck. And it wasn't disrespectful. It was a good shot. I dropped my hands. And he warned me, too. He's like, yo, you dropping your hands. Cracked across. I felt the stinger down like my pinky and my ring finger.
You felt like that nerve.
And I was just like,
hit.
Yep. I was like, oh, man. I was like, that hurt. And got to protect yourself, dude. And I said to myself, I was like, oh, man, I fucked up. Yeah. I fucked up.
Well,
like that Ralph meme from The Simpsons. I'm in danger.
Yeah, I'm in danger. Dude, you learn, though. That's the whole point. The whole point is that you do actually learn, and you figure these things out, and you go, oh, shit, okay, like, I can't drop my hands again.
No,
like,
exactly.
I learned, some of the things
Pinned.
dude. Some of the things that I've learned, especially, is always be, I'm going to fuck the name up on it, always be, not framing. Always be framing. So like, even if a dude's got me in side control and I'm dead to rights, like he's got me dead to rights, I'm laying there and I can't really get out of it at the time. I got to keep that elbow up right in his fucking face, make it really uncomfortable for him. You got the better ground right now, but I got to make it uncomfortable for you. So
question for you though.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you looking to compete?
Oh man, I've been asked that a few times. And when I first started, I told Jamal that I really wanted to compete, like bad. I really had that like fiery want to compete.
Yeah, you got that.
I was rolling 5 days a week, 4 days a week, but then the injury started, and then I was beating my body up too much between jiu-jitsu and the weights. So it was just a lot.
Is it the rolling or is it the rolling with the wrong people? Because
rolling with the wrong people.
Exactly. Because you told me
every time I roll with the higher belts, because I go to the mixed class a lot.
Right.
Every time I roll with the higher belts, I don't have injuries, and I'm always like, I'm super respectful, like to a fault sometimes. Like I'll be mid roll and I'll hear a wrong type of a grunt, and I'll let off and I'll be like, yo, you good?
Yo,
yeah.
dude.
And they'll be like irritated. They'll go, yeah, I'm good. I go, oh, okay, but
dude,
like,
me too.
We're good. Like,
I'll be like, yo, you good? You all right? We good?
Yeah.
Yo,
like
you good?
To a fault. I'm almost too nice sometimes.
Yeah.
So, my big thing is I ask guys when I start rolling with them now, and one of the tips to be respectful of others is I ask them, I go, hey, anything injured? Anything sore on you? Like
Smart. That's actually really smart.
I ask everybody. Don't matter who it is. Black belts, everything. I go, hey, and
I should be doing that.
And they always
really.
laugh though. They always laugh. They go, oh, everything. Or no,
Right.
no, we're good. I just go, okay. I just want to make sure because this hurts on me. I'm just letting you know.
Right.
So give them like some type of a check. Like, hey, you may not be hurt, but I got a little something going on with my knee. So you could, if you're gonna crank something, crank it slow.
Dude, first time that I ever sparred in Muay Thai. This wasn't at Law. I go up against a
That
dude.
guy's scary as fuck.
Dude, I go up against a dude who's like roughly my height. He was in a lower weight class, but he's like, I don't have a mouth guard in, so no headshots. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, okay. So my assessment of the situation was that we weren't doing headshots.
Oh, but he was going after your head.
So as soon as we start, we hear the bell ring, ding, 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 cracks me as hard as he can right in my face.
Yeah.
And like my head just whips back. It didn't hurt, but like he cracked me like he was a lower weight class.
You weren't expecting it.
But he cracked me so hard in the face, and I'm just like,
it's like saying no nut shots, and he just started beating your balls like a speed bag.
I had to
relax.
I had to take a second. I was like, really? I was like, really, man? Like, come on.
Yeah.
So I gotta be respectful of that, but you can just go buck wild.
Well, you gotta watch people, man, because not everybody has. This is something I've said numerous times. Like, not everybody has your mentality and thought process.
Right, yeah.
So if you're being overly cautious and nice, which you should be in a combat,
of course,
in a combat face-to-face sport, it doesn't mean just because you say this to the person doesn't mean that they're going to be like that. And they may just take it as what it is at face value and just go, okay, whatever. And then they're going to keep doing their thing. I've had plenty of guys like that, especially the competition class. The competition class is tough. And I know that it's going to be a brutal fight to the death every time I go there, because I like to go against guys like that. And I like to hope that I'd say this all the time. I go, I hope I'm giving you a run for your money, at least something. Because like, even if I'm tapping out and I'm giving, there was this dude, what's his name? His nickname is Beans, actually. I don't know if you know. I mean, if you've came to you for a treatment or anything.
No, I don't think so.
Super good. I mean, to me, he's very good. Very athletic, very tough, very dominating person, like practitioner of jiu-jitsu. And I believe he was getting ready for some of the ADCC stuff and all these different tournaments. And I mean, it was like 5 minutes of just fucking hell for me. I mean, he was taking me down left and right. I could barely do anything against him. I was like, oh, all right, just fucking survive. Sick.
Dude, it's rough.
So, I think that just being cognizant of like how you want to approach your training is super important. Tapping early, super important. I tell people that all the time, especially new dudes that come in. Fucking tap. Like, we're all going to have that thought process of, I got to keep going. I got to keep going. Nah, man. If you are in a fucked up position, which you're going to be more times than you can count in this world, you have to be able to go, okay, let's start over. Like,
that's what I say to people when they talk to me about like getting into martial arts. Like, any advice? You got to leave the ego at the door.
Have to leave.
If you're walking in there like a tough guy, you will get exposed.
Oh yeah,
you will 100% get exposed. And the people who do walk in as a tough guy, they don't last. They maybe stick around for like 1 or 2 sparring sessions, and they think that they're a tough guy. Oh yeah, I'm you ever hear those things where it's like I'm 14-0 in the streets, but then you walk into a real mixed martial arts gym, you're gonna get fucked up.
It's also what Jamal has said numerous times as well. Jamal always says a bully, and it's not to say that just because you have street fights you're a bully, but a bully is never going to want to fight somebody that can give them a run for their money.
100%.
They're always going to go for the victim. They're always going to go for somebody that's weaker than them, not as agile, whatever, and they're going to use them to fluff their ego up and feel good about themselves.
100%.
That's a guy that comes into a gym like that takes a fucking intro lesson, that rolls once and is amazed that the dude half his size is fucking flipping him over his head without any sweat breaking out. Like, those are the dudes that just go, oh shit, like, okay. And they have to protect that shell and that ego that they've built over the years, saying that they're a bad motherfucker, saying that there's somebody that, oh, jiu-jitsu doesn't work. Okay, well, maybe you just fought somebody that sucks at jiu-jitsu. It's a lot of us. I'm one of them. So it's
me too. Me too.
I'm one of them. And you know what? It's a funny joke, but I do try to not say it too often to like reinforce that you actually suck at jiu-jitsu. I'm just like, oh, don't do that, because you're reinforcing it internally that you suck at jiu-jitsu. But it's hysterical, because it's like every time I go against somebody that I'm like that's a little bit better than me, or even just like years and years training, you start going, you just go, oh wow, I really don't know anything.
Yeah,
I really don't know anything.
You know what I do? You know what my jiu-jitsu move is? And I'm outing myself to the people that I roll with, right?
It's over for you.
My jiu-jitsu is the Francis Ngannou when he goes up against Cyril Gane, and he just lays on him. So when I get that position and I'm laying down and I got my head locked onto somebody and they're pinned, if you're in my weight class or not, most of the time, at least in my experience, I got him pinned.
Well, it's tough. I've gone against so many bigger guys,
which is not good jiu-jitsu. It's not good jiu-jitsu.
But you're using your weight to your advantage,
right? But these are the baby steps. I've only been doing it for like the jiu-jitsu, maybe 2 months.
Yeah, 3 months. Yeah,
maybe at that most.
We're at the end of October.
Yeah,
so I think you start rolling like August.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I remember you put the picture up. I was amped. I was like, great, somebody can get injured with me.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. But I think the next step for me, at least now that like when I first started combat sports, I started with boxing. And boxing was maybe a year or two. And then I transitioned when I moved to Long Island last year. I started Muay Thai. And I did Muay Thai for about a year. And I loved Muay Thai. And now, since going to law and transitioning, now learning jiu-jitsu and combining everything, I always said to myself, if I ever were to compete, it would be in boxing. Now that decision is a lot harder. Yeah. And I think the next step for me, at least for a personal goal in my own person, that's why I asked you if you wanted to compete, because I think the next step for me, and I'm going to say it here first on the podcast, I want to schedule a fight.
Actual fight.
I want to schedule a fight.
What type of fight? MMA, Muay Thai? What do you want to do?
Maybe MMA.
Okay.
I'm thinking MMA because at this point, I feel okay, health wise. I mean, my back, flares up every so often, but I want to challenge myself and I want to push myself and see what I can do with this. It's just an itch that I want to scratch.
Okay. And I give a lot of respect and props to that.
I want to do that. That's going to be my next Hail Mary.
Some people's challenge is I want to run a mile. You want to fight another human being in a cage. So
yes.
There's a lot on your back, man. You know what I'm saying? different goals, but it's tough, man. I mean, I go to these fights. We went to the fight for Beethoven and Marcus, and you had a couple boys in the fight too that that I wasn't familiar with.
Yeah, from law, yeah.
And you watch these things, and while you're sitting there as somebody that practices this,
right.
you have reflections, and you think, oh, could I do a fight? How would I fare in the octagon? Or how would I fare? And it's brutal, man. It's brutal when you watch, and you can make critiques, and you can say X, Y, Z. And
of course, it's different.
It's different when you're in.
You have to respect anybody, even if you get knocked out within 3 seconds. I don't laugh at those people. No. They got in there.
No.
How are you laughing at somebody that got knocked out?
It's more so damn.
It's yeah. No, I'm not. Well, I'm not saying like you. I'm like the royal you, right? How can you sit there and look at somebody who had the balls to go up against a very skilled opponent, clearly, and get knocked out, and be like, oh, he sucks. Look at it. No, he's going against a skilled fighter. Yeah. Don't knock the other person. Respect the person who did it. I don't know. It's a different mindset, different mentality. But I will say, I always thought about it. And then watching Beethoven's fight, I was so jazzed for him. And I'm a big Beethoven fan, dude.
Yeah, I love him.
I'm a big Beethoven fan.
He's a good dude, man. He's going to come on, I think, in December. So we're going to get him into the studio.
And I'm saying to myself, I'm watching these guys, and I'm like, dude, I got to do it.
Yeah.
I got to do it. It's an itch that I want to scratch. And I'm like, I know what I'm capable of when I put my mind to something. Just like you said, you reinstate to yourself oh, I'm bad at math, and you're gonna think that, but because I'm not bad at math, right? Like what you said, I haven't applied it yet.
Mm-hmm.
I've been applying myself in a bunch of different directions. Now that school's over, now that I'm in a position where I want to be, it's kind of counterintuitive. You go, some people might look at it as regressing, oh, now I'm gonna fight, but I want to do it, dude.
It's a passion of yours, man.
I want to do it.
You love right now. I mean, what better way than to take it to the next level and see how you do? I mean, what's the harm in it? In theory, what is the harm of it?
And I'm surrounded, again, going back to the whole thing, I'm surrounded by great company, dude. The people I train amongst, the people watching, Frivola and Naz say, oh, pay-per-view Sundays. You go there and you watch these guys spar against each other. It is truly a pay-per-view Sunday.
Oh, they all go on Sundays and spar?
Yeah, dude. It's beautiful. Watching these guys, watching Aljo and watching Frivola and watching Naz, watching all of these guys, Dennis, all of them. The work and the work ethic that they put in, I look at all those guys as mentors in the sport, because not only are they really great dudes, just human beings that are just kind-hearted individuals and teammates, but they work hard, man. These guys are some dogs, and they are gritty. For instance, you look at, and you mentioned, again, on the theme of good company, I was sparring one day, and Naz, right before he fought Terrence McKinney, I posted this on Instagram. He's sparring, he's doing his own thing. Pulled me aside. After sparring, he's like, hey, I'm noticing that, when you're leading with your jab, you're leaning a little too far forward with it. Try to just keep it a little tight, stand up a little taller. I'm like, this guy is fighting in 2 weeks. 2 weeks he's fighting. And he's taking time out of his sparring and his work to kind of just look over and be like, hey, let me pass on some words of wisdom.
Yeah, I got to let this dude know.
That's a good dude, man. That's a good dude. Good company will take you a very long way. And that's why I said before, dude, your company is your coffin. Find people that will actually invest in you and people that you're willing to die for. I know it sounds like such a silly, trivial thing, but like putting myself in that mindset, like if I have a fight coming up, I don't know if I'm doing that. You know what I mean? It kind of like, it's a humbling experience. Like I don't know if I'm doing that. Maybe I'm selfish enough to be like, oh, forget what everybody else is doing. I'm going to pay attention to me. I got a fight coming up. I'm going to be selfish. It's different, dude. The martial arts community is a entirely different breed.
Well, it's ironic because I did have on the notes for the episode, the tribalism that I've seen is combat sport gyms. Like we all go there
100%.
championing around one singular person. But now you look to your left and there's another dude that trains just like we train at our gyms, championing his person that's in the ring.
Right.
And you look and you're like, wow, like we really do, like it's a tribe, man. We are the law group, the Sarah group.
I think we're all I think it's Sarah Law, just Sarah Law.
Sarah Law. It is. It is. And so it's just like two hubs, I guess you can consider it.
Yeah.
And, and then you have Winjitsu down on the South Shore. You have Soka. Soka down on the South Shore as well. And all of these gyms that it feels very Cobra Kai-ish. It really does. Without the evil motherfuckers, because everybody really does just want everyone to do well in theory. Yeah, man. I did have a fucking couple of dudes that were booing Beethoven when he kept going for the grapple. And I looked at the dude that were booing, and I said, yo, can I ask you something? Like, seriously asking you. I know this is your boy that he's probably fighting. I get you're tight, that he keeps losing the ground and he keeps getting out-grappled by Beethoven. I said, so here's the question, though. How about he just stands up, right? Jiu-jitsu's ineffective? Just have him stand up.
Did you hear me screaming?
We were all screaming.
You didn't hear me? Dude, everybody in the crowd from rows back was hearing me. They were booing, and I was like, keep booing. He can't hear you anyway.
That's true. That's true.
What are you booing at?
Yeah.
And then,
he doesn't have his hearing aids in.
Dude, there was a guy, I'll tell a funny story about Beethoven's fight, right? So guys in the front, like I'm sitting here, and he's maybe like 10 or 20 feet, diagonally. You would say that, he was the hypotenuse of a right triangle, right? Like 20 feet yonder.
Hypotenuse, man. I haven't heard that shit in
dude.
long. Oh my god.
Listen, I didn't fail math test.
Oh my god, I just got transported back to you suck at math.
So we're at Beethoven's fight. Guy's like 20 feet, hypotenuse of a right hand triangle, right where like the camera is right over there. And I hear him screaming and he's going, ref, he's holding him. Ref, he's holding him. I had to turn my head and I look at him. I'm like, dude, this isn't basketball.
Yeah, bro.
If he doesn't want to get held, have him play golf. And then everybody around me, the guy was looking dead at me, like dead face. The guy's looking right at me. Everybody around me's cracking up,
you're
laughing.
An idiot, bro.
Like what?
It's part of the sport.
It's part of the sport, dude. Yeah. That makes no sense.
What made Matt Serra so dangerous on the ground? Why did dudes just want to stand up with him? He was still a good stand-up fighter, but he was a better jiu-jitsu artist.
Should I say, ref, he's hitting him?
Yeah.
He's hitting him, ref. Like,
why is he punching him in the face?
Why is he doing that? Like some of you guys, when you're inviting your friends and family, you got to give them like a heads up and a warning as to what's going to be happening.
What we're going to do is we're going to create the MMA tournament rule book for dummies, and basically what it's going to say is they can hit, they can grapple.
Like hand out a business card to everybody.
It's just going to be bullet points. Right. They can do this, they can do that. They shouldn't do this, but they do this. Like
it makes no sense to me.
Oh, you're going to get people that are going to comment on everything. Well, that's actually another. I have to credit Jamal. There's another Jamal thing when like you're at home, and we're all guilty of it sometimes.
Oh God, yeah.
You're at home and you're watching football. You know exactly what I'm going to say.
Yes.
And you're like, come on, bro. You couldn't have juked that. You couldn't have outdone that. You couldn't have done this. Why would you not look for that gap? And it's like, bro.
You know what? I'm the opposite though.
We're not there.
I'm the opposite. Those who watch sports with me, or particularly mixed martial arts with me, I'm the asshole. It's like, oh, that's good right there because you see what he's doing is he's getting that side control and what he's going to aim for. And I'm like I'm watching it as a student. So when I'm watching it as a student, like I'm jazzed and I'm like, oh, so a bunch of like other friends will be like, oh, they're on the floor. This fight sucks. I'm
boring,
like,
yeah.
And I'm just like, no. See, this is where it's great because what he's doing is he's countering this and he's doing that. And I'm like, Nick, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like my mother would be like, my mom would be in the other room. She'll be like, you know, they can't hear you, right? Yeah. I'm like, let me live.
I think through like telepathy, they can hear me.
I'm manifesting it into the universe, man.
Could you imagine you just see them jump? They're like,
see, he did it. Is
Nick in the ring with us? What the fuck? I do find it really cool that you've become like the fighting doctor. I think we need to make you an account, the fight doctor.
Dude, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah. You better create that account before this episode comes out because I don't want anybody to. We got to see if that's real. Hold on.
Yeah, check it.
I bet it is.
Dude, that's so cool that you say that because I never really thought of myself like that.
I think it's really cool because
that really means a lot.
Dude, all the fighters are coming to you guys now.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Listen, I got to give credit to my colleagues and my friends, Rob, Scott, Basil, Dan, and Owen as well.
Lots of love to the homies.
Shout out to all of them. And I have to say, like, going back to, again, I've been giving credit to everybody. I got to give credit to my mother for being a remarkable woman and being Wonder Woman in my life and really championing me as, as somebody to become something. And, my brother as well being that like father figure for me growing up and helping me become the man that I am today. And I'm still learning, right? But I got to give credit to Scott, dude. That relationship blossomed so quick. And he's going to be on this podcast too. Like,
okay, a couple weeks, man.
Dude,
and I'm going to talk to him about his best practices, what he feels for effective treatments, and
dude.
I want to get into it, which I want to get into you as well. But
yeah.
I know he's been doing it for a long time.
100%.
I want to get his perspective of just like what it's like, and how it started, and what did you like or not like about the industry prior to doing what you do now.
Dude, Scott's been such a great mentor, dude.
Yeah,
so I have to give all the credit in the world to Scott because you know what makes him a great mentor? It's him affording me the opportunity to make my own mistakes and make my own decisions and the trust to hand me the keys and say, here you go, make something of it. Here's the opportunity. You do something with it now. And I never had that. So Scott and my relationship first began when I was a student for him. And I was working for doing my final round of clinical rotations. We spent 14 weeks together, 40-hour work week.
How did you find one another?
So ironically enough, I was supposed to be there for my third clinical rotation. Unfortunately, one of my best friends, he was supposed to go to California. That contract was void, and so they placed him there instead of me because he had priority. So he wasn't able to get that one, so he got this one. Shout out Sean, by the way. Love you, Sean.
Shout out to Sean.
No hard feelings whatsoever. But that really, I felt I was like so upset about that. I was like, oh, damn, I really wanted to work with like Scott. And I've seen, because I know him as like a local celebrity. I'm like, oh, the Savage Physio doc. I was a fan before I was like a coworker or a colleague or anything like that. And I would follow him on Instagram. I'd love all of his posts. Like he is the fighting doctor. And I remember being really disappointed, and like my mother would tell me, like, listen, everything happens for a reason. If it's meant to be, it'll be. Next time around, see what happens. So when I sent in my application for the next and final round of clinical rotations, I put, again, Long Island Stretch first, and I got it. And I was like, oh, shit. And I was like, I'm going to make the most of this opportunity because I know if I meet this guy and we work together, I think that we're going to develop something big. And I remember... when we first met, we bonded over the movie Heavyweights, which if you come to the office, like, listen,
get on the scale.
Watch the movie Heavyweights.
Get off the scale.
You will fit right in. Disney's Heavyweights, amazing.
One of the best movies ever. Ben Stiller, amazing character.
100%, dude. And very early on, he had that trust in me and he believed in me. And that's something at every other clinical rotation that I've been at, they're watching you like a hawk. I've had people or clinical instructors where they tell me like, oh, like knocking the field of physical therapy and like being over my shoulder. And I get it. I'm a student. You're not like, you don't necessarily have to trust, but
you're also not over here cutting a knee open and doing a fucking surgery.
Exactly. Yeah. So like the micromanaging component was like out the window. Like Scott saw who I was as a person and we bonded very quickly and he saw the quality of work that I brought. And from that point, he trusted me and gave me that opportunity to be able to, again, make my own mistakes, make clinical decisions, collaborate with me. And that was a very raw and real experience for me. And in having that, I made the most of it. And that's why a lot of the guys, like, whether it be from law or Sarah's or whatever, like they see that. They see that bond that we have, and they see that we both like know what we're doing and what we're both capable of. And I listen, there's not a single person in this world that I don't think that I can take care of or I can make better or rehab. My mantra has always been, with respect to physical therapy, and it's a very famous quote by Nike co-founder Bill Bowerman. It's, if you have a body, you are an athlete. You walk into this door, that's how you're going to get treated. You will have, and that doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, what, like, are you going to like push me and to the point where I'm going to hurt myself or I'm puking or I'm doing this and that? No. If you have a body, you are an athlete. If you are walking through this door, you are going to be expected to perform to the highest level of your abilities, and we will expect greatness out of you. And we're going to pull it out of you, and we will not be like, it transcends any sort of limitations or shortcomings. That's the whole point. That's the whole mantra and mindset. That's my mission statement when I am treating my patients. If you have a body, you are an athlete. And yes, I treat a lot of athletes. I'm very grateful for it. But I've also treated a lot of neuro patients who've, unfortunately suffered a stroke. You know what I mean? Like I've treated a lot of patients who have ALS or Parkinson's or, knee replacements, hip replacements. I've treated a bunch of other people that don't necessarily fall into the scope of a quote unquote traditional sense athlete. But you have to establish that mindset when you're walking into the door of what the expectations are and the discipline that's going to be associated with your treatment and with your treatment plan. And with respect to that, I firmly believe that people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I care about every single one of my patients. I treat them all the same. Nobody gets preferential treatment. It's always the same. And that's why I say, if you have a body, you are an athlete. I'm treating you the same way. The same way I'm treating Matt Frivola when he walks into the door and we're getting him ready for his camp and we're getting him ready for MSG is the same way I'm treating, Miss Sally Jane down the street who just had a knee replacement. Same expectations, same discipline, same level of treatment. And that's what makes us different from every other clinic. And that's why I think that has helped us with our success. And I've only been there a short time, but like...
Well, how did it pale in comparison to the other rotationals that you did?
A lot of the times you're going to go to other clinics and they treat you as a cookie cutter.
Yep.
A lot of other clinics are slaves to insurance. A lot of other clinics are going to look at you as just a job and just a number. I don't look at people like that. I never have. And I refuse to. I look at people, this is someone's mother. This is someone's son. This is someone's husband. This is a person. There's a human component to this field. And if you're getting into the field of being a clinician and you're looking at things as this is just a job, I can't do that. I'm too much of a human to allow myself to do that. So when someone walks through the door and they have goals in mind and they have something that they need to achieve, or they're trying to get back to being able to play with their kids, or they're trying to go back to their sport, I take that personally. I really do. Because I've been there myself. Like I mentioned earlier before, I have herniated discs. Like I was in a very bad car accident, ironically enough, my first semester of PT school, and I herniated discs in my cervical spine, my thoracic spine, my lumbar spine, and that's something I got to live with for the rest of my life. And I remember how bad it was not being able to walk, going to school in a neck brace, in a cervical collar, just trying to, and not praying to God, like, oh, please let me just get back to even. Like, I don't even need to get back to like playing basketball. Just let me be able to like not be in pain. I get that. I've been an athlete. I'd like to consider myself currently an athlete. And
you are. I would
appreciate that.
Yep.
And it sucks, dude. It sucks not being able to do. And listen, you've had your fair share of injuries, but
over the years, man, I have herniated disc too. I have L5S1. Very uncomfortable. I've had that since I was 19.
Yeah, it's
32 now. I've had it for a very long time.
And that's really, when I look at what we bring to the table, is we are the movement specialists who treat everybody the same under the discipline of a coach or an athletic-based rehab program. And, we're not everybody's cup of tea. That's okay. Some people like coffee. That's fine. But the point is, this is what we bring to the table, and we separate ourselves. We're not a bell ringer place. A lot of other physical therapy clinics or just clinics in general, you come in, get them in, get them out. When I first started working as a physical therapy aide, which was when I graduated college, I wanted the experience, was in 2018. And I worked for a physical therapy clinic Not going to say it, the name of it.
Yeah, you're good.
But it was in Brooklyn. And I remember I've been a certified personal trainer for about since 2016. I'm dating myself here. So as a trainer, I was always, being a trainer and getting the nutrition degree was always a means to an end for physical therapy. And I'm grateful that I incorporated that.
I'm telling you, everybody hits it at least once, so you're good. It's actually very on par for the episode. You're fine.
Perfect.
Big ass.
But I was very grateful to have that 360 approach between the training, between the nutrition, and now physical therapy. So I always looked at things from a different perspective. And I would say to my clinical director that I worked with as an aide, hey, what if we did this? What if we did that? And I sought that mentorship and I sought that collaboration. And what he told me was like, Nick, you have a good heart, but you're going to try to save the world and you're not going to be able to. And sometimes you just got to get them in and get them out. And I heard that and I was like, damn, I don't think that's true. I don't think that is good practice. I really, truly believe, but you'd be surprised. I've gone through other clinical rotations and other observation hours, whether it be at hospitals, skilled nursing facilities, and that mindset.
I probably argue that the hospitals are some of the worst places.
And I've noticed that it's very common, and it's not just with physical therapy. There's a bunch of other healthcare other healthcare careers where people look at that. I can't do that. Scott doesn't do that. Rob doesn't do that. None of us do that. We recognize that these are human beings with lives that they want to lead. And when you lose your humanism, your ability to empathize, you got to leave the field, is my advice. For anybody that's working in that career and in that field, and you're looking at someone as a paycheck, and I get it. Everybody has their own coping mechanisms. Everybody has their own ways of processing grief and hardship. And for some people, that's how they get through the day. I get all of that. But if that's going to affect somebody else's life and somebody else's treatment and somebody else's quality of life, then you need to find a career that is not this.
Sound advice. Sound advice that not many will probably understand, take. Actually, I want to rain real quick. I want to get my rain on. That's what I want.
Get your rain on, bro.
I was like, damn, he's drinking this cool, crisp rain.
Dude, Rain. Shout out to Rain, dude. Total Body Fuel. Rainbow Sherbet.
Rainbow Sherbet is fire.
Dude, this is delicious.
The Rainbow Sherbet is next level, bro. Oh, look, Kenji poop bag. I'm sorry, I wanted to comment more on that story, but I did want to get up and get a rain, and I'm fucking sweating my ass off. Thankfully, it feels like it got cooler in here, actually.
No, it feels good.
Yeah, it feels
good. I'm fine.
I don't know how you're not sweating.
I'm big chilling.
I got to donate blood again. Beautiful.
I think that was ranked the best sound in the world. I'm pretty sure.
I'll turn some settings off. That thing will be. You feel like the can's in your fucking brain. People will be looking around their car, listen to this. They're like,
love it.
It's a can in my ear.
Delicious.
I'll tell you what, man. I find that,
What's your experience with the clinic, though? I want to hear your thoughts. Like when you come in, do we achieve our purpose and our goal? And don't just be honest because I'm sitting in front of you. I mean, don't just say what I want to hear because
you're sitting in front of me. No, I believe that I've sent a lot of people to you guys, and I don't.
You have, yes.
I think that one of the biggest things that I'm proud of myself for is that people trust what I say with opinions and recommendations. A lot of people trust these things. Whereas, if you see your favorite influencer on Instagram and you see them pitching another protein powder,
right,
you're just going to look at it. You're going to go, okay,
yeah,
cool, whatever. But I find that when I put up a book, when I put up a place that I'm at, or I put something up, I get a lot of people that go, "Oh, what is this? Where is this?
You're a man of integrity. That's right."
And that means a lot to me that I've been able to build that, and people can actually see the authenticity over the years. So I've sent a lot of people to you guys because people ask me all the time, "Oh, I'm dealing with this, I'm dealing with that," and I go, "Yo, you gotta go see my boy Nick, my boy Scott. Gotta go see them, the homies."
Appreciate that.
Of course, man, because even from the first time that we worked with each other, you worked on me.
It was like we were best friends.
I'm telling you, man, it was just super easy going. Yeah. It was very and from that day forward, I mean, you were sharing the podcast. You were excited about things.
Of course, yeah, dude.
Very supportive of when most people are not that early on in a relationship of friendship. So I was very appreciative of that, and I just fucked with your energy. Like I love that energy. That's the good people that you have to surround yourself with. So I've known Scott for a few years. Between him, Derlin out in Comac, who's a chiro, and I think that's it, to be honest with you. I don't have any other people that I go to get work done. So you guys are like my main people. And I've always appreciated it. I find that for the money, I get my time and my money's worth. Like being there with you guys for like an hour and a half of getting everything worked out, feeling good. You don't feel like you're being shortchanged. I've gone to a lot of places that they'll charge you the premium price, but they will short themselves on the premium service. And they won't give you a full hour and a half, or they won't give you a full hour. Even when I've gone for massages before. I'm telling you, I've told the story to a couple people. I don't think I've ever told this on the podcast. I went for a massage a couple years ago. And before I transition to this story, to answer your question, I love y'all. And I
love you too, brother.
I do appreciate the work that you guys do. Scott shouts the podcast out, which obviously has nothing to do with the physical therapy side of it. You shout the podcast out. We champion one another because that's what good people that fuck with each other and their energy, that's what we do.
And also quality of work. Let's put it this way. If you were recording this podcast like with an iPhone mic in,
Well, these are all fake.
Yeah.
These are all fake cameras.
But listen, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
If you were recording this podcast with like an iPhone mic and just a Motorola flip phone, I'd still share it. Don't get me wrong, because we're boys. But there's a different sauce to it. There's a different recipe to it when you really believe in it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I could shout you out and be like, oh, yeah, whatever. But it wouldn't feel authentic because it probably wouldn't be authentic.
Yeah. It would just be, oh, it's my homie. I got to shout him out. I have to.
It's the quality of work that you bring.
I appreciate that.
And when we met, I was a student, and a lot of people don't realize, like, when you're doing your clinical hours, like, obviously, it's unpaid. And a conversation that I had, like, with Ray Longo in the gym, we were talking, and he was saying, like, you know, you want to get into the fighting world, you got to realize, like, there's no money early on. There's no money. You know, you got to really love what you're doing. And I have to say, now working there and actually making money, like, I'm happy. But I was happy working for free. Mm-hmm. I was happy being there as a student, working the same hours, a 40-hour week. But I love it. I really love it. I love being it. And I don't have a God complex where I'm like, oh, look at what I'm doing, bow before me. I don't look at it like that. I look at it like, this is really beautiful to witness someone's growth of being in pain, having injured themselves, and getting them to the point where they could walk, they could run, they could do this, they could do that. Or even just like the maintenance work and the prep work of getting someone ready. Like, we had Beethoven coming in before his fight. We have Frivola and Naz coming in, you know, getting ready for MSG. Like, the prep work, I love it. I really, really love it. I love everything about it. And if I had to do it for free, I would. Scott, that doesn't mean you can't pay me, bro. That doesn't mean you can't pay me. I know you're looking to not do it, but no, but I, like, if I had to do it for free, I would. Yeah. I really would. And it's a beautiful thing. That doesn't mean shortchange me and like be like, you know, DM me on Instagram and be like, oh, hey, you want to do this? Because
I heard you can do some therapy for free.
Dude, that happens a lot, though. I'm sure that happens with you too, but like,
not so much anymore. I'm pretty vocal about things.
Yeah,
people have stopped fucking with me with that type of stuff, and I think I've gotten to the point in my career where people understand that, you know, if the dollar signs aren't adding up,
right,
I can't take the time to talk.
100%.
Yeah, the new issue, and I can't even call it an issue. I'm flattered. But the new thing is people trying to use me to get access and information to podcasting. That's the new thing. It's been like that for a while, but with the success of the show, as it continually and steadily grows, as this continues to trend upwards at a steady rate, I don't want quick fame. Right. Because quick fame comes and goes. I don't want that. I want to build a meaningful show. I want this to be the brickwork that, like, I look back on in 10 years and I go, holy shit, like, I feel like I haven't done a lot, but I've done a lot. And this is crazy. Like, the amount of people that I've had come in and this and that. So I find that my thing is, it's not that people just want free, they want free game. They want me to just tell them, That's the camera I use with that lens. That's this camera I use with this lens. That's this camera I use that lens. This is my microphone. This is the arm. This is this. This is that. And did you want me to just tell them all that? Like catalog all this for them and then tell them how to use it all.
Right.
What are the EQ settings? How should I do this? How far should I be off the wall? What else should I put in here? What type of arms for the boom mics do you use? And I have to tell people, like, there was a kid who called me last week, super dope. I mean, it's very nice. He called me after the episode with LaRusso went up. Not LaRusso, with Vargas. Alex called me before. Fucking Alex. Last name's on my mind now. Vargas came in, did the boxing episode, and one of his buddies from high school, or I forget if he said high school or college, he called me. And he works with a nonprofit. He has a nonprofit. He's a police officer down in North Carolina. And he hit me up, and he's asking me and talking to me about, he's just like, hey, I have questions about, called me. He's like, I have questions about your workflow and this and that. I said, I got to be so honest with you, bro. I can't take 20, 30 minutes to just explain all this to you. I really can't. Like, if somebody wants to hire me for a consulting fee and stuff like that, I could do stuff like that. But I had to figure all this out on myself. There was really nobody. There was nobody that I knew that was doing podcasts that I asked, hey, how do I do this? And how does that amplifier hook up to this thing? And how does this? I had to figure it out. I had to use YouTube University. I had to figure things out myself. So it's like, that's kind of the transition point that I've had with the podcast. Like, people ask me, and I gave him information, and I said, this is everything to get you started. And then if you have more questions, we can work things out. Really nice guy. I mean, I think he told me he was shot in the head and he was on like leave and stuff like that. And like, he's just working with a lot of officers and a lot of first responders in bringing awareness and stuff. I fucked with that mission. I love that. And he was super genuine and nice. He's like, I totally understand. I said, dude, this is how I make my money. So like, I can give you some. I can't give you all free game. Of course. I gotta protect my time that I've made to invest in learning how to utilize all of these things. And that happened when I first started with the video business. When I first started, there were things that I was doing that other video guys just weren't doing. And they would ask me. Like, I was one of the first video guys that was like using a CRM, a client relationship management software. People that do video, we just take money and then just go shoot. It's like, well, how do you know what conversations you've had with your clients? They go, yeah. How do you know what prospects you have for upcoming shoots? Not everything is it's in stone and ready to go. So then people started asking me a bunch of questions, and then they asked me, and I'm like, guys, you gotta give me some time. Like, then I'm giving out, and I'm cool with giving out some info, but like then I'm giving out 4 hours of information, 5 hours of information every day, and it's like, well, now my work is behind because I gave too much shit out. I didn't get to focus on me. So I find that that's something that I deal with this side of things, because let's be honest, everybody wants a podcast. Not everybody is going to get past their 10th episode. That's the thing. Like, I've had 3 podcasts. I had one that actually, I think we're on the amount of episodes I had on my first podcast. My buddy John Panetti and I, we had a podcast together. It was awesome, but we just kind of fizzled out. He got busy. It was just like a weird time. COVID just started. It didn't work. So we stopped. Then I did one with my buddy Tyler that's coming in tomorrow. And we did 11 episodes, and like that was it. We just fizzled out together. And
I had a podcast too.
Did you really?
I really did.
I had no idea. How many episodes did you give?
So we did, I want to say, I think up to like 40 or 50.
Oh, that's awesome.
But what ended up happening, same thing. Like, the relationships I had with like the people in terms of the podcast, it ended up fizzling out with respect to the podcast. You know what I mean? Like,
it's nothing against people.
And it's
you either just develop at different times or different rates, and you just the interests don't align anymore. Like, there's a lot of things that happen that it's not like, fuck this person, I don't want to be in a podcast with them anymore. It's just like, we're just not clicking.
What ended up happening was I was taking it far more seriously than my friends were, and that was okay, because we just had different views and different mindsets when it came to things. And it reached a point where I was like, respectfully, I value our relationship as friends to not allow this to jeopardize it. So I think it's just best that we just maybe just stop doing it, instead of like having expectations and unrealistic expectations. That's on me, and I take full responsibility and ownership for that.
Well, that's what I had after the podcast with Tyler. Like, it was my second one, and then everyone started asking me, "Hey, Nick, we really missed the podcast." Like, and I was flattered. They're hitting me up. They're like, "We miss your takes on things. We miss your voice. We miss this and that." I was like, "Oh shit, my voice." Like, okay, cool. And so I started to decide, like, what am I going to do? Am I going to do another podcast with somebody? Because it is substantially easier if you have a co-host, and it's not all on you to do all the talking. Without question, it's easier. So I started deciding things, and then I had like 4 or 5 people hit me up because they wanted to do a podcast with me. Jamal was one of them. And I just said, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing another co-hosted, joined up podcast. What I will do is my own show. And y'all can come on whenever you want. You're more than welcome to come on whenever you want. We can do segments, we can talk, we can do whatever it is. But I am not going to have to rebrand another podcast because it failed because of a relationship falling through. Just not doing it.
Brilliant.
So that's kind of where I'm at now, and it's been great, man. I love it. I love doing it. I love sitting down with amazing human beings and getting to just chop it up and talk. By the way, are you on set time? Like, do you have to go to Scott today? Are you working?
Yes.
What time do you have to go?
Don't worry about it. It's all right.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
It's all right.
I want to be.
We'll wrap it up in a little bit. That's okay.
Yeah, I want to be I want to make sure
rush.
I'm on. No, I'm not in a rush because after this, I'm just gonna go get some food. I'm fucking hungry, man.
No rush, dude. And
I just checked on Kenji, and he's sleeping under the bed.
Beautiful.
His big ass.
But yeah, I'm torn on like that whole. Like, I look at it from two different perspectives, right? I love being able to help people. I love being able to do things for other people because I've had my own share of misfortunes and people being able to lift me up and, give me free game and free advice. But I think it depends on who it's coming from and the quality by which, or the respect and honor by which they take your work. Like, I had a dude back when I was, very heavily into training. I had somebody DM me, for a full-fledged workout program. And I said, okay, no problem. So here are my rates for the workouts, the nutrition, XYZ.
Probably offended that you said that.
And his response to that was, oh, you can't just hook me up for free? Like, I thought you do this for fun. And don't get me wrong, I have a lot of fun with what I do. I am very blessed. There is a lot of depth and happiness and joy that I feel and fulfillment in what that I do on a day-to-day basis, whether it's the training, the nutrition, or the physical therapy. I love it. I really do. But at the end of the day, I have a future I'm trying to build as well. I have, I've put time, effort, and energy into this. And I have no problem blessing people and being able to help people out and do things from a place of sincerity. But the expectation and what's the word I'm looking for? The entitlement of just being like, well, you do this for fun. Just do it. I'm not doing that.
My friends and I, we always say the audace, like the audacity. The audace. I'm telling you, the balls on some people when they say some shit like that. I've never sat there and had a thought of going like, oh, this person specializes in this for their profession or their work. I should be able to get that. I should have them do something for me for free.
Right. Yeah.
Well, when I've had those type of interactions, I've actually asked people. I go, well, what do you do for work?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm a lawyer. I'm this. I'm that. Oh, interesting. So like when a client comes in, you're telling me that you start giving them real legal advice, like right out the gate. You don't put them on retainer.
Dude.
You don't put them on retainer. You don't get a fee, consulting fee right out the gate. You just give them free game.
You're not walking up to, and I find that it happens more so with healthcare and fitness.
Oh,
more than anywhere else. Because if you look at it, it's like you're not walking up to your accountant and being like, "Hey, listen, bro, don't you do this for fun?" Like,
yeah. You love busy season, right? You love when you don't leave your office for fucking months on end. And you reappear as Shrek out of a hole. Out of
exactly.
Slump.
Like, do you walk up to like your plumber and say like, "Hey, And I've had people challenge me on that and be like, "Oh, well, it's different." Why is it different? This is how somebody makes their money. This is how someone provides for their family, for their pet, for their, their future. And your expectation of that is just because it's a more quote unquote joyful job than others.
It's not a conventional job. That's what it is.
Exactly.
It's not a conventional job, and people see you enjoying yourself doing it. That's another thing, because most people don't enjoy their jobs. They don't get to travel. They don't get to go places or sit down and this is a job.
Meet really cool people.
This is a job for me, technically.
Yeah,
this is a job for me. But it doesn't feel like a job. But when everyone does their job, it feels like a job. It's the audacity of just like I've had jobs. I just had one recently. I had jobs that I haven't been paid for in almost a year. And I'm just like, the work's been done. Like, the work has been done. Like, you got the video, you got the deliverables, you got all the raw, which I don't give out raws very often. So it's like, you said you were going to pay me for the raws. You said, like, okay, here you go. And then I'm sitting here for a year waiting for you to pay me.
Nah, dude.
Where do you think? And then the consistent excuses. Oh, money's tight right now. That sounds like a you problem for things that you want to buy now. That doesn't sound like a Nick problem from 9-10 months ago.
That's right.
From when you decided to book me to go do something.
Right.
Like, don't get it twisted. We have a relationship. We're cool. This and that. Whatever. Kenji needs medicine. Kenji needs food. I need food. I have to pay for the office. I have to pay for all this gear, this expensive gear that everyone's very impressed
Beautiful,
with.
yeah.
Everyone just goes, oh, wow,
100%.
it's very impressive, all your equipment. It is. I paid for it all. And it's expensive for a reason. Like, I've bought top-tier shit because I expect top-tier results from my clients.
Right.
And for the people that come in, you taking your time out of your afternoon to come sit down and talk to me, I want to make sure that I give a good product for everybody that's going to listen and view it. So with all of that, it's just the misconception that just because you enjoy something and just because you have fun doing it, and I'm posting on social, you know how many times I have to tell clients, like, I'm posting on social, but I'm working on video still. Like, people, I used to have to mute certain clients because
They're hounding you.
They'd message me and they'd be like, are you working on our stuff? I'm like, yo, just because I put a story up that I took the dog to the dog park and he's running around by himself, you have to relax.
You're not allowed a life.
But that's the issue, and that's the boundaries that people overstep on a constant basis.
You know what burns my ass the most?
Talk to me.
Burns my ass the most?
Talk to me.
The must be nice.
Oh yeah, must
be nice. Yeah. Let me tell you something about must be nice. It wasn't must be nice when I was staying up until 4 o'clock in the morning to study for an exam that was at 8 o'clock, and I was driving from Brooklyn to Central Islip at 6 o'clock in the morning. Oof. So it wasn't must be nice then. It wasn't must be nice, when I was, grinding to, apply for PT school and write essays and go on interviews. And it wasn't must be nice when it came to that.
The stress of loans and the stress of schoolwork.
It wasn't must be nice applying for those over $100,000 of student loan debt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't must be nice then.
That's gone, right? You paid it off already? It's all gone?
No, yeah, of course. But it wasn't must be nice then. So don't hit me with a must be nice when you haven't earned. And again, I'm not trying to put medals on myself, but every so often you got to let it swing. There's hard work and prep that has gone into this. I didn't just walk into Scott's clinic and be like, oh, hey, help me out and just do me favors.
You didn't walk in with the baby mic and just go, I'm here. Here you go.
Right, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I earned to be where I'm at.
Yes, you have.
I earned the position that I'm in where people look at me and they're like, hey, listen, I respect what you do and I want what you bring to the table. And I trust you with my health, whether it be to rehab, whether it be for prehab, or whether it be maintenance in between. There's effort, and there has been a lot of hard work and sacrifice and sleepless nights and literal blood, sweat, and tears that have gone into this. If I didn't care about this, I wouldn't be here. Trust me. Going to PT school, going to undergrad, doing all that, working for free. I was working, my clinical rotations, 40-hour weeks. Sometimes our minimum was 35 hours a week. Our maximum was 45 hours a week. You know how many times I've maxed that 45? That they allowed, they were like, oh yeah, we'll just do the 45.
More than you hitting that minimum. More than you hitting that minimum.
45 hours a week. Plus, on top of that, got to make ends meet. I got a car to pay for. Yep. I have insurance. I have a cell phone. These are all things that need to be, food. You know what I'm saying? All that stuff. Working an additional 25 hours a week on top of that. People don't get it. This shit didn't come easy. So I'm very blessed to be in this position, sitting across from you, expensive watch on the wrist, working with professional fighters, in this environment. I am blessed. But I'm blessed because everything I prayed for, I worked for. And I stand by that. You know what I mean? So
you've given yourself the opportunity to afford these luxuries of a podcast on a Friday afternoon, a nice watch on the wrist, the ability to pay for MMA gyms, which aren't cheap, and to be able to go in and work with the athletes, the people at Scott's business and yours. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm
blessed, man. I really mean it.
And you're early in this career. That's the cool thing. You're early. Yeah. You're young. It's early.
That's the crazy part.
You got a lifetime coming up.
That's the crazy part.
Of relationship building and opportunities and different, segues that you can take your specific brand. Because Scott has his brand.
Yeah.
Scott has his brand, and then he has the business. You are part of that business now, and you're just developing your brand.
Which is crazy.
It's very exciting, man. It's very exciting with what you're going to get into and see and do. And, who knows what a potential tournament or fight, that could bring you more business, more eyes on yourself and on your brand. That's what it comes down to. I used to use Rizzles Productions for all of my work.
Right.
And then I had Nikki Rizzles for all of my everyday life stuff. Mm-hmm. And then I started Rizzology for the podcast. But about 3 years ago, I stopped using Rizzles Productions because I'm the brand.
Yeah.
I'm fucking Rizzles. Like it's just
Fuck yeah, man.
yeah. Like
Fuck yeah,
dude, this is what it I am
Hell
what
yeah.
it is. Like there's no like, okay, Rizzles Productions, great.
dude.
Okay, that's very formal and cool and looks good to have, but it's like it's bullshit when it comes down to it.
Yeah, man.
People are gonna work with me because they want to work with me. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're working with me because they think I'm the best. So they're not working with me because they enjoy the product that I produce and the energy that I bring on these shoots. It's me. It's me, and eventually when I get my team, it's me and my team. That's what it is. And you know, this is what you get every single time. So to separate the two brands didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Like my license plate's Rizzles. That's how it started. It was a fucking joke. It was like a joke. My boy called me Nicky Rizzles. It was like a joke in high school. It couldn't get my attention. And then I said, I'm going to be a dick and I'm going to make my license plate Rizzles because I found out you could do vanity plates.
That's
and then it
awesome.
came in the mail. We were cracking up. But then everyone's like, yo, Rizzles, Nicky Rizzles, yo. And I was like, oh, okay.
There
like,
we go.
This is it. And then when I started shooting videos, it was like, okay, Rizzles Productions, cool. Like, I don't know, you know, Rizzle Vision, I don't know, something.
It's crazy how this comes to be, right?
It's just crazy. And then Rizology, like the ology is the study of, and it's just like my world, my life, my people. Like this is what it is.
I love it.
So that's how we've gotten to this point. It's cool to see how things develop. And you know, one of the things I learned from Josh York, who's the CEO of Gym Guys, who you know from he's gone to you guys for treatment before.
Yeah.
Josh York is big on ABB, always be branding. He's always wearing a Gym Guys shirt. He's always promoting Gym Guys. That's what I'm saying. He's always, and I got to get some Rizzle shirts made.
We do.
I have to get some Rizzle.
I need all of them.
Just Rizzles across the left breast. But like this is what it is. Like you have to champion yourself because unfortunately most people are not going to until you hit a certain point. Like until you're like that Kim K where everyone just likes shit just to fucking like it, shares it just to share it. You know what I'm saying? Like she doesn't need any more publicity, but she gets it. So because people see her at the top already, where if she was at that low point again, like in this day and age, she'd be drowned out by the clutter. So you almost have to get to that certain point, and to get to that certain point, you got to champion yourself because you're the brand.
You have to.
And without you being like, I used to laugh at people, and this is fucked up. I used to laugh at people that would like their own post. I'd be like, bro, look how corny you are liking your own post. I like all my own posts now. Guess what? Because if nobody else likes it, I fucking like it. You know, I like what I put out.
You know what's crazy? When I first made like my podcast and I first started like my own brand for training and stuff, I had so many people tell me like, why are you wearing your own merch? Like, why are you wearing your own stuff? If I don't believe in my brand, why should anybody else? If I can't be seen wearing what I bring to the table, why should you be expected to? Yep. There's a big difference, man. It's a big difference.
See, Mark Wahlberg has Municipal. That's his brand. He wears it all the fucking time.
100%.
He's got Municipal on.
100%.
Good for you, dude. Wear that shit. Wear it with pride.
Absolutely.
Talk about it. Own it. Love it. I mean, that's what we have to do. You know, obviously, Mark Wahlberg's Mark Wahlberg. He's going to fucking sell regardless, and he's going to be able to put his stamp on it, and his fans are automatically going to buy it. But we should be taking those types of notes from the people that are at the top of the food chain and utilizing them to get us to somewhere near that level. And that's what it takes. Those baby steps of being your own fan from the get-go, because that also helps you believe in yourself. Mm-hmm. There have been plenty of times where I listen to a podcast and I'll be like, did I sound like a fucking idiot on this one? Like, did I? And I go, nah, man, like you're putting some good, just third-party criticism. You're giving yourself some good takes. You're talking with the guest. You're allowing them to speak. Like I have actually taken pride in developing as a podcast host over the last. This has been around for a little over a year now.
Nice.
So it's been around for a little over a year, and there were months where I didn't do episodes because I was just busy with work and whatnot, and the office was too far at the time. But I would listen to the episodes. I'd take feedback. I'd start looking at other episodes and start seeing, and like one of the things was I'd either speak too fast, or I wouldn't let my guests speak, and I wouldn't let them speak uninterrupted. And these are things that you pick up over time, and if you don't, it'll sink you. But taking an active role in becoming better at your craft, at the things that you do, you have to be your own fan and be able to take that criticism and that critique to the next level. And that's really what it takes.
And that's a beautiful thing, bro. All glory to be to God, bro.
That's it, bro. Little by little, man. I gotta start going to church on Sundays just to get back to a baseline of just feeling connected and just with the earth, with the universe, with God, like just
dude.
All that good stuff. It's
important.
It's crazy how like when you get that side of things done
Dude, you
right,
need
everything
to,
just
bro.
clicks. It's
You
just
need
very crazy how it all just clicks.
Dude, 100%. And I'm gonna leave you with this before I gotta skate out.
I got something else for you before.
Oh, really?
Yes. You want to leave
Okay.
me with this afterwards, or you want?
I'll leave you with this afterwards. So
Okay.
go for it. Let's hear it.
So I got two things. One thing I did want to talk about, which we didn't get to, is John Jones' pec tear. I thought that was crazy.
Oh, dude.
What's a rehab look like for something like that?
They say 8 months, but it depends. So here's the thing. A lot of times when you hear torn whatever, right? It sometimes is catastrophizing because a strain and a tear are synonymous with one another. Mm-hmm. The grading system that there is for tears in muscles and ligaments goes by the same structure. Grade 1, 2, and 3. And I personally don't like it. I think there needs to be some subcategories in it because a grade 1 can be anywhere from like 25% of a micro tear. Grade 1s are usually the most dangerous because you don't even know if you have a grade 1 strain, which would be on a muscle, or sprain on a ligament. Those are the most dangerous, where you get a little hyperextension and it's like, oh, I'm fine. And you think you're okay. But in reality, you're not, because then the next time you go out and you try to perform at peak level, you're tearing your shit.
Yeah.
So a grade 2 can be anywhere, I believe, from 25 to like 99%. Makes no sense. You could be hanging on by a thread. Still grade 2. Still grade 2. A grade 3 is a full rupture. So when someone says they tore something, what do you mean? So a lot of times in the medical community, they'll just be like, oh, he had a grade 2 strain. He tore his pec. If he tore it off the bone, that's not an 8-month recovery.
Yeah.
If it's just a strain, or if it's like a partial thickness type of strain, maybe the rehab is 8 months. But even still, I mean, it depends. You're talking a lot of grappling. That's at least a year-long rehab to be like at full peak performance. I mean, he's an athlete, but he's not.
He's gonna have the best recovery on his side.
He's gonna have the best recovery on his side, but the rehab on that, best practice suggests at least a year worth of recovery, dude. I would say for the sport that he's doing. For the sport that he's doing.
Very contact.
100%.
Tyson Ngannou fights this weekend. Who do you got?
My money's on Fury. My money is on Fury, but I do have to say I want to see Ngannou win.
Yeah.
As a Mike Tyson fanboy, I have to say I love Mike Tyson.
I want to see him just catch him with something.
What people don't realize is that on any given Sunday, anybody could get it. Anybody can get it. It doesn't. I've seen street fights with guys that are my size get knocked out by 125-pound peanuts. You know what I mean? But you catch somebody on the jaw, with Ngannou's punching power,
monster.
It's possible. But in terms of strict boxing, I think it's just a money grab.
Of course it is.
They have respect.
I'm tired of these money grab fights.
I'm tired of it, dude.
I won't pay for them. I refuse. I refuse to fund that.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not, dude.
So my buddy Stone out in Salt Lake City, shout out to Stone. I told him that I was going to ask you this.
Yeah.
And then you could give us this, and then we'll leave off with this.
Sure.
I'm trying to find my DM with him from earlier. Where's my man Stone? There he is.
I feel special. Got people DMing you that I don't even know that are looking to ask questions. That's
so awesome. You know what? It's not even it's not even that he was actually asking you specifically a question, but
I'll go fuck myself.
I said
I'll go fuck myself.
No. I said I got to run this by my man Nick. He's coming in an hour. So he's pretty pissed because he had some issues with a tear, and I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. And he's like, "This, it still hurts. This and that."
Yep.
So I said to him, "You got to take your time and let your body heal. Be kind to your body, man, because you got to just chill out and do the right things." He's like, "It's been 10 months on the ankle." Mm-hmm. So I said, "It's been months, not years."
Right.
That's the key word right there. It's months, not years. Mm-hmm. And he said it got worse after surgery and now just seems to be stagnant. So I said, get some therapy done, do this and that. And I said, what was the full injury? So he says, I'm trying to stay positive, but I go to PT, which I pay out of pocket for it. He says, and she does dry needling, cupping, scraping. He said, it doesn't really get better. He goes, I had 2 tears and a lateral processed talar fracture.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Talar? Okay.
Talar.
Okay.
Depends.
Never heard
potato,
of it
potato.
But I'm also not a doctor. So all of that healed, but fracture healed wrong in July. They had to re-break and put a screw in.
That's what I was going to ask.
And I was non-weight bearing for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
He says, I think it was a mix of things. My buddy who works with Brady's recovery guy, he said I should have been walking on it and working on stretching a week after surgery to make sure the tendons and everything else didn't get too tight.
Depends.
Okay.
It depends.
So he said, and I'll finish with this, and I just want to get your opinion, and then you're going to leave that. I want to be cognizant of your time.
Yeah.
He said, so in February, I heard it. I went to urgent care. They told me it was a sprain. Give it a week. Sprain. See?
Usually if it's a grade 1,
Yep.
that's the most dangerous one in my opinion, dude.
Give it a week and you'll be good to go. So I started lifting it again and everything. It still hurt in June, so I got an MRI, and this is the result. The patient this is in the parentheses of him
I
speaking.
feel like I'm taking my boards again right now.
Patient has...
A, B, C, D.
Yeah, right? Patient has comminuted lateral process talar fracture, talar. This would have been caused from the extreme weight pushing the bone into his fibula. It is most likely a surgical fix. There are also concerns of calcaneal fibular ligament tear and partial deltoid ligament tear.
First off, how the fuck did he do that?
Man's fucked up. Stone.
How the fuck did he do that?
Go in the hyperbolic chamber and just rest.
What is going on, man?
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
Told me it was healed wrong, and
Usually the deltoid ligament doesn't tear. So I'm curious if it's an avulsion fracture or if it's an actual deltoid ligament tear. Because what happens with a lot of people, just as a sidebar, is that the deltoid ligament is on the medial aspect of your on your foot, and the ligament is so strong that before it even tears, most of the time, like 90% of the time, it's going to rip the bone and a chunk of bone off before it actually tears because it's such a strong ligament. So if you tore your deltoid ligament,
what would rip the bone off? Like what type of force would
it's attached to the bone.
That's what I'm saying. What would rip it off though?
Like if your foot goes in, your foot goes inward, like on the inward aspect, and like your pinky goes up, so to speak.
Okay.
Happens a lot with if you're like ice skating or rollerblading.
Gotcha.
Where it kind of goes inward. Most of the time when we sprain our ankles, it goes like pinky side down.
Roll out.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of different things that play into a factor when it comes to recovery. The surgeon knows best on what they did in the foot and what they saw.
Yeah, he said he can't have, and I'm going to cut you off real quick.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you this last piece.
Yeah.
And he said, I can't do a body weight squat without pain. Can't put any weight on my toes. Like I can't do a calf raise on the foot, and I can't stand on I can't stand on one foot and balance without holding on to something.
Okay.
So
that's rough. I mean, first and foremost, I would need to know the mechanism of injury, and there's a whole, assessment base that goes into creating a differential diagnosis on how to create a effective plan of care. So I don't want to do a disservice to that and give a cookie cutter answer, but based off of the information that you're giving me, there's a lot of different components, and as doctors of physical therapy, we do have to work with the surgeon and understand, like, hey, listen, you saw what's going on in there. You saw what is happening, and you have to stick with, most of the time, you have to stick with the recovery timetable and what the surgeon suggests and their post-operative recommendation. To just make a blanket statement saying, oh, well, you should be walking 1 week after. In ideal circumstances, yeah, you probably should. But in this case, it doesn't sound like it's a traditional ankle break where they needed to just, create a fixation in there with the, with the screws and whatnot. So, as for where he is right now, it is a rough position to be placed in, but there's so many different factors. It's really hard to pinpoint. But my answer would be focus on the range of motion, of course. Focus on, at this point, it's a chronic issue and a chronic injury. So you need to adapt your rehab practices to work within a chronic scope of practice of immobility. One of the risks that you run with prolonged immobility is that of joint contracture, which means, like, let's say if I break my wrist and I keep it in this position, like immobilized for a long time, I'm going to be stuck like this. This is my range of motion, because now there's calcification of the joint and ossification of the other smaller joints within, or the relationship within the muscles that would afford you this range of motion. So at this point, you could be dealing with a joint contracture where that immobility that's it. Like you're stuck. It could be where, he's not moving past the point of pain or discomfort because it's uncomfortable. There's so many different variables.
To re-break that scar tissue and get back in.
Exactly. So there's a lot of different components and moving pieces, but I would say, listen, you got to go to somebody that you trust, and you got to go to somebody that you feel as though is going to lead you in the right direction. So if you're having these doubts with PT, and you're not going to trust the clinical judgment of somebody that you don't trust.
Yeah, well, it sounds like he believes they're just using fancy tools to just kind of just do things, and
sometimes that happens.
He's not feeling effective from it.
And sometimes that happens. Sometimes that does happen where it's not. People focus on the feel-good aspect of physical therapy, but not the actual meat and potatoes of what needs to be done for their program and their treatment plan. So,
words of wisdom right there.
yeah. Well, I listen, if DM me any injuries or whatever, like whoever that was, you could
my
give
buddy
me a
out in
DM.
Salt Lake City.
Yeah. Oh well, then never mind. I probably won't see him. He's not booking a flight.
He might. He comes home every now and then.
Oh well, then
you never know. Maybe he'll come down to you guys.
Yeah.
All right. So give me what you want to leave on, and then I want to get you out of here so you can go work for Scott for free.
So the last thing that I wanted to say, with respect to everything that we spoke about, a quote, a very famous quote in the philosophy that is Zen Buddhism, and you'll see it on my Instagram all the time, is chop wood, carry water. But that quote is actually a little bit longer. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Meaning the journey of self-discovery and the journey of doing what needs to be done for ourselves in mind, body, spirit, and tribe. Doesn't matter where you are. It's a continuous process. You might think that you're finished and you've reached this point of enlightenment, but you haven't. Life is an everlasting growth. It is an ever-changing evolution. And throughout our time that we have on this earth, continue to chop wood and carry water.
I love that. And I love you, bro. I appreciate you.
I love you, brother.
You're the fucking man.
I appreciate you.
If you want to plug exactly how people can find you, to DM you directly, I'll put your information in the show notes as well.
You can DM me directly at dr.nicholas Giliberti. Very strong Italian last name, and I take pride in it. Dr. Nicholas Giliberti, or the Savage Physio Doc on Instagram. That is Scott. And you could find us at the Long Island Stretching Institute in Hicksville, New York. If you want to come on down, if you're a fighter, if you have a body, you are an athlete. So please come on down and we'll get you right.
That's my man. And on that note, I appreciate everybody for hanging with us, fucking with us. Episode 69. Please continue to share the show. If you guys can give us a rating on any of the audio platforms, subscribe on YouTube. All of these things help the show to continue, for me to do this and get amazing guests like Nick to come down and hang out with me. So on that note,
I'll be back.
Without question. We could talk for hours. On that note, episode 69 with Nick comes to a close. Peace.